Yo, what is up, folks? MTG here with Dredge. I couldn't leave it too long into Aetherdrift because if you've not seen, Bloodghast got printed in the set. This card has been a staple of Dredge across a multitude of eternal formats, but back here into Standard, but alongside that, Pioneer and Explorer, its MTG Arena equivalent, which is what my focus is. So, if you're not familiar, black for a 2/1, can't block, and has haste as long as the opponent has 10 or less life. The big thing, landfall, whenever a land you control enters, you may return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's set in your graveyard, you play a land, it comes back. If your opponent's at 10 or less, it has haste, and it does all the Dredge things. It triggers Prized Amalgam coming out of the graveyard. It's another free thing, like alongside something like Narcomoeba, quote-unquote free way. It's not costing any mana to get it back from your graveyard and trigger Prized Amalgam, which is an amazing addition to the deck. Does it mean that that can compete? Well, firstly, let me go on a rant for a second, because I've talked a bit before about how in Pioneer Masters we got a bunch of really nice cards, but there are a bunch of cards that aren't on the platform that, like, new printings or reprints into the Pioneer format might make viable. And one of those that I've been petitioning for ages is Breaking and Entering, specifically the blue-black Breaking half. As target player mills 8 cards. That is an incredible card with Dredge. It's not quite Glimpse the Unthinkable, but it's as close as we get, and 8 cards for 2 mana is a ton, particularly with Founding the Third Path. We don't have that, so we don't have like the best Dredge enabler in Pioneer legal on MTG Arena. That's the first thing. You can play it in Pioneer with Bloodghast. Hey, in spite of that, the other thing is that the traditional problem Dredge has is that you want to use your graveyard, and then post-board you're going to have to deal with graveyard hate. Dredge generally is like pretty good at winning game 1. You need to be winning game 1 basically, because game 2 you're gonna have to fight through a bunch of hate cards. I'm gonna be playing best of 1 for the purposes of this video, but I have included a sideboard here which I'll go through and like talk about how you can try and combat some of those hate cards. But hey, let's talk about the rest of the deck. So for Bloodghast, comes back if you play land. For Prized Amalgam, kind of the core card of the deck, 1 blue-black for a 3/3. Creature enters, if it came from your graveyard, you get to bring the Amalgam back in the next end step. A few other ways to trigger this. Narcomoeba, if you mill through it, you get to put it into play. And Silvermote Ghoul, if you gain 3 or more life in a turn, you return it from the graveyard to the battlefield at end step. Note, this only triggers on your turn, not on your opponent's. The way we're enabling Silvermote Ghoul, Creeping Chill, mill through it, drain your opponent for 3. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then we have a bunch of enablers to kind of like get all these graveyard cards into the graveyard. We're playing the max number of 1-mana enablers here. So Tome Scour, which was new to Arena through Pioneer Masters, target player mills 5. Secret Keeper, target player mills 4. For Otherworldly Gaze, Surveil 3 with Flashback. This is a great job of fixing your draws as well. Can be very, very useful. And then Citrus Supplier enters or dies mill 3. Helps clog the board versus aggro decks as well. Is a nice one. And there's some cool ways to sacrifice it too. So at 2 we have Founding the Third Path. I've like trimmed down to 2 copies here to make room for the Stitcher Supplier Souls the Lost package, but it's very powerful in the deck, and in particular if we have Breaking and Entering, there's no way you would play less than 4 of these. But it is a Read Ahead Saga. First step, you can cast into a sorcery spell with mana value 1 or 2 from your hand without paying its mana costs. So you play it down to 2 mana, you get to like effectively double spell that turn, so you can venture deep off of it. You can Otherworldly Gaze or Tome Scour. Second step, target player mills 4 cards, obviously that's what we want to do. And the third step, exile target instant sorcery card from your graveyard, copy it, you may cast a copy, lets you get back one of your enabler spells. Note that you can't get back the Adventure with the with the flashback bit, but you can with the first half. Occasionally you use it to get like Creeping Chill back, and there are some other like cool targets that you can play as one-ofs that I've not included here. I think the silliest thing I've done is play like a 1 of Temporal Trespass and like extra turn our opponent with it. Pretty cool, pretty cool. The Narcomoebas, and then Souls the Lost, which I talked about with Citrus Supply. 1 in the black for a X plus 1. Additional cost to cast it, discard a card or sacrifice a permanent. This plays a really important role in the deck. You don't really want to have Prized Amalgam, Haunted Dead, even Silvermote Ghouls, or Bloodghast really in your hand. You don't want to be paying mana for these things. So being able to have a way to discard them is really, really nice. But also, you can sacrifice Stitcher Supplier and get the Death Trigger to get an extra mill 3 off of the cast cost as well, and then it is a big threat. So power equals the number of permanent cards in your graveyard, and toughness equal to that number plus 1. We are mostly permanent based. There's a chunk of instances of sorceries, but hey. So big threat that also does a bunch of enabling. The other way we have to discard cards is Haunted Dead. Ideally, you're not casting this for 4 mana and it ends up in your graveyard through milling through it. Then 1 in a black, discard 2 cards, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, which also enables Prized Amalgam by having a creature return. And note the way this works, that if you discard a Prized Amalgam to this ability, the Prized Amalgam will see it in the graveyard and then come back at the next end step. Can be really nice. This also gives you like a really nice way to play against like decks that want to wrath you with Supreme Verdict or that kind of thing. And then it also makes a 1/1 Spirit token with flying, which gives you flying blockers, which actually can be quite relevant. But that is the deck. That is the deck. Occasionally you also just like end up casting Creeping Chill. It's not the worst. If you have a choice to put like this back versus one of these other things, often you'll like keep the chill because later on you can chill from hand, get some ghouls back or something like that, or just burn your opponent out while gaining some life. Then, mana, 4 Regrave, 2 Underground River, 4 Dark Shores, 4 Clearwater Pathway, 1 each of Takanuma and Otawara, an Island, and an Ipnu Rivulet. This is 18 lands. I consider playing more, in particular because of Bloodghast, but I want to try it with the core set. So I've been playing 18 land Dredge for quite a while. With these other World Gazers here, you really get to fix your draws and you don't tend to struggle for hitting your land drops. And then also like you need space for everything. The deck kind of tops out at 2, apart from hardcast and Creeping Chill when you need to. But outside of that, you basically don't want to play or don't want to hit more land drops. We do have Otawara and Takanuma. Otawara is like, hey, you can use this to potentially bounce like a main deck hate piece that you encounter, or something like Thalia that slows you down, that you can't just trade away. And then Takanuma is like, hey, you kind of might as well. The Ipnu Rivulet's like a 1 utility land that lets you mill yourself. It's another one where like if you get flooded, you can use this to do some Dredge enabling. And the last thing, I said, talk about the sideboard. So we're going to play this in best of 1 because of the nature of Dredge. But how do you deal with your opponent's hate pieces? There's some generic stuff, like versus aggro decks, you want these fatal pushes anyway, and especially with like founding, you can actually do a lot of just like clearing the board away. But also dealing with things like Thalia, Scavenging Ooze, hateful creatures, these are really important. Thought Seizers, and then also these Into the Floodmaws are fairly generic pieces of hate. You don't necessarily know what your opponent's going to bring in. Sometimes you can know based on the color, like, oh, they're playing white, they're going to have Rest in Peace. Sometimes they're going to have Unheisen's First, and you need different answers for different things. Sometimes it's creature based, so these spell pierces aren't good, but generally you can get a good read based on what your opponent's playing in most of the decks your opponent's playing as to whether the spell pierce will be good or not. And then similarly, you're not going to bring the Thought Seizers in versus aggro decks, but you might bring in the fatal pushes and the Floodmaws, and that way you get to like end a step, like bounce a Unlicensed First, cast a bunch of cards to mill yourself, and go again. Similarly, into the Floodmaw being able to like be a way to bounce Leyline of the Void is really, really nice. And hey. And then lastly, Ashiok. This is an interesting one. The spells and abilities your opponent control can't cause their control to touch a library is a really nice shutdown attack versus decks, but also Ashiok provides you with graveyard hate, and additional to that, also enables you 3 mana, and you can bring it in versus like some of the controlling decks of the format as well, where the like hate ability doesn't matter, because it's a repeated way to be able to mill yourself. Target player mills 4 cards, but then exile each opponent's graveyard, mill yourself, exile opponent's graveyard, does all the things you want. And so, hey, that's the sideboard I've got configured at the moment. Let me know in the comments if you want to see some best of 3. I'm sure there'll be some like weekend events and stuff to take this through soon. So, hey, and I'm going to hop into some rap matches. If you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. Do like, share the video around to anyone you think might be interested. And all that stuff just helps me out a ton. Thanks for keep making videos. And let's get into some games. All right, first match here with New Dredge. This is like a pretty streamlined build. Generally I start with blue back and work from there. This is pretty interesting. So we have 1 land, but with double Tome Scour and Otherworldly Gaze. We've got 3 enablers, and the Otherworldly Gaze can help us find. And I'm going to keep this. It's a little risky. We have 1 Prized Amalgam in hand, but having 1 and one of these is not the worst. If we had multiple, you maybe get to mulligan. Sure. So the way I'm going to play this is I'm going to Tome Scour myself to start with. We hit an Alchemy, but nothing else. Sure. And then I've set a stop on my first, on my upkeep, to Otherworldly Gaze, try and find the second land. We'll do that now. Then it taps for blue, we get to Tome Scour ourselves again. We do not hit a land here, we'll put all these in the graveyard. And hopefully we'll draw one, and if not, well, a little bit awkward. Okay, we drew an Otawara. Okay. Like, odds are that we find a land with the Otherworldly Gaze in the draw step. Yeah, we're gonna Tome Scour ourselves here. Okay, so we have double Amalgam in the yard and a Ghoul, but we haven't had any way to, we haven't hit a way to being fun with them. I'm gonna attack. There's like no really good way to block a 1/1 Heartfire Hero. They're gonna use a spell on it. It's gonna get bigger. Gonna take some damage. The plan for red matchups is to hit creeping chill. That's the that's the game plan. That's a little unfortunate. We have Souls Lost here. We could like Souls Lost, put out a bit like a huge Souls Lost. It's got this Prized Amalgam. It's kind of interesting. There was a potential like 50-50 hindsight with the creeping chill, but we could have potentially like otherworldly gaze on our upkeep again. A Millfall and Flashback Timescale, is that going to be good enough? Potentially. I think our best plan is to try and do some blocking, which is a little bit fake for multiple reasons. I'm going to leave the Alchemy back at this point, because I'm a little worried about dying. This is kind of the state of red decks in the format. This is a 9-10. And that won't always be big enough. Like, Halfway Hero is going to go up to 3-3 here. That in itself is fine, but we end up just kind of like, oh, they get the extra land off of Manifold, off the challenge, which is kind of nice. That means they're not progressing the board right this second. Let me set that to slow. Alright, we have Rivulet. We can even play this. I think I'm going to play this on step 2 here. Which mill ourselves for 4? Okay. Interesting. This is huge, obviously. But you just have to worry about dying to like Heart for Hero, Death Trigger, plus some pump spells. Or some pump spells in a Cell Sword. You can just lose. Yeah, so like land to be solid. There are a number of good draws. Alright, I'm gonna start powering up the Halfway Hero. They still don't have any actual good attacks at the moment. But this will just be big enough to clock us if we don't do anything. So then here we have two things. You could have potentially again other against that turn, but I thought the value would be better in the founding. And then here we have this flashback coming from the founding of the third path. So you have an option between time scaring and otherworldly gazing. You can set up a land to creeping chill this coming turn, for which like that seems okay. Or alternatively get time scare, which seems more cards. Realistically, the land also gets us a Bloodghast back. Where we are currently, we're not bringing. Very tempting. We hit the. No, yeah, because we're going to cast the Stitch Supply anyway, so we can't really leave anything on top. We might as well mill the maximum amount. Yeah. Okay, we don't hit. And then here we do still have the opportunity to other what we get. So this is a 1920. I'd rather get an extra blocker into play. I will set the upkeep stop depending on. Okay, we hit a creeping chill. This kind of changes everything a little bit. Let's enter the box again. Primary thing is to survive. These Silver Ghouls will come back on our turn. The Prized Amalgams will come back on our opponent's end step. And we just need to live a little. Three, 4, 5. We're at 16. This is where things start getting pretty well, it's already pretty dangerous. Okay, if they decide to give it, and double strikes doesn't kill us. We don't have a way to give Souls Lost, like any kind of evasion. In Historic, you have access to Wander, which while you've got an island, all your creatures get flying. It's kind of cute. I've also played like Grixis versions of Dredge where you can play Inti. Oh, they're gonna attack here. Okay. I'm gonna block like this, I'm gonna take a bunch of damage. I'm gonna put the Stitch Supplier here to try and soak, and then I will block here, I think, on the Ember Heart Challenger. Yeah. Like the double strike means they could put like a excuse me. They could put, well, they're actually gonna infuriate the big guy. Interesting. It means he's going to take damage here at least. This is the thing with such as a player. Like, these happen on our turn. You take 7. They have 1 blocker left. They're going to die till the Amalgam's coming back. Okay, nice. Second match. Apparently kind of gave us that one a little bit, but we didn't go over the next turn cycle. Like, it's a tricky one between them thinking that we have a bunch of damage on board, which is accurate, but then also still having to play around getting like blown out. So sometimes inactivity is activity. We'll keep this. We have some interesting lines available, but my founding principle, actually gonna shock here, is to get the most cards into your graveyard as quickly as possible. Okay, so we have Silverghoul, we have Bloodghast. Bloodghast also changes how you want to sequence slightly. Like, you just want to make sure you want to play your land second. So like here, we have Founding. If for some reason we were just like casting other games, we want to cast these spells before we play the lands and stuff. In this case, it doesn't really matter. But I do think Founding is still the correct option. So versus green, it's definitely tempting to make Stills of the Lost. Alright, I'm going to do this. But firstly, that happens. There's no real options to do it the other way around. But this gives us like a giant threat in play. We're going to opt to discard here. And I'm between discarding the Bloodghast and the Hoarding Dead. I think that we still have a bunch of stuff to cast, so I'm going to discard the one that doesn't cost us mana to bring back. Even though like the Hoarding Dead in the graveyard can enable some other good stuff. Now I'm going to set us up an upkeep. I'm going to Otherworldly Gaze, likely to try and find a land. And then use that land to Founding Otherworldly Gaze. Hopefully bringing back this Bloodghast in the meantime. And there's a big question of whether they have a creature here. If they cure it into like Troll, that's what it looks like. Okay. A bit more annoying. We outgrow it still. And like the backup plan is we Otherworldly Gaze a couple of times. If we don't find a land. We do, and we find a Creeping Chill as well. I think given everything, I'm going to take the Underground over here. Just to make sure we don't get covered. Go ahead and chill away. The problem is that if we attack, they're going to end up with, we'll take action here, a lot of mana. But there's not really a way around that at this point. So next turn we are getting to, next turn, bring this back, we're out of cards, we're not doing this. We can Tome Scout and then Otherworldly Gaze. So no, makes sense to leave that on top. Okay. Go ahead and do this. Please attack. They don't want to take the damage off the Souls Lost. I don't mind like sacrificing some equity on the Bloodghast. Obviously, if they let the Souls through, that puts them down to closer to 10. Now they have access to Storm the Festival. That's the worry. Oh, if they have is the Olgrist Troll Even Dead still adds green for devotion. They have 3, 4, 5, 6. And the Cure on tap. They've gone wide rather than, I say that, rather than Decklist. They did mill through a Storm the Festival. No, I don't want to stop an upkeep. We're going to see a lot of cards into our graveyard here. The problem is that like, with current iterations of the green deck, if they have a Nykthos, they can untap and kill us, which is not super cool. We've not hit Chill. We still have 3 in the deck. Go to combat, hit the attack all button. We're not expecting them to take damage off the Guided Souls. We also have the option to Otherworldly Gaze in combat if they want to try and do some double block, which looks like it might have been coming there, but they're not going to do it. So they're going to use this to get the Storm the Festival back, but we kind of just have to play through this, unfortunately. There's no way really around it. So that's fine. How much mana do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm basically thinking, do we timescale them for the Storm Festival? That way it limits them to only being able to do it once, right? Maybe this is an overcook. I'm gonna other the gaze first though. Have a look. We can draw the Ottawa, but we can't cast it. We're also on 7. I think our best success is to make them pay more mana for this on the festival. That's what I reckon. And we'll see how this goes. I'll set the same upkeep stop again. Looks like maybe they do have a Nykthos, or they're going to dig for a Nykthos. They get a lot of cards being drawn from the Trailblazer around the Kiora. We've not seen one go to grave yet, or get picked up by the Summer Festival. Would have been cute to hit one. But they're untapping here, so it certainly looks like they're just going to cast. Okay, they're going to dig for Nykthos again. They've used their land drop for the turn. Sorry, no, they've used their untap for the turn. They've not found one. Well, these are untapped. I think they have a land drop. If they have drawn into it here, they didn't find one off of the Cavalier. They could have drawn into one off the Trailblazer Kiora draw. That has a Garen Brig, which they can't activate. Now they have used that land drop with the Garen Brig. So I'm going to otherworldly gaze on my upkeep here. I'll bin these to draw Secret Keeper, just so we can mill the highest number of cards. Oh, actually, we've got the founding flashback. This is me being stupid. Sure. Go to main. This will trigger. We'll timescale ourselves here. We're basically trying to hit Creeping Children to finish the game off. When you hit 1, that should make this. Oh, did I misclick? They can block 4 things. You have 8 blockers. Sorry, 8 attackers. So that is number 1, I think. Nice. Mono green can be pretty tricky. So 2-0, not bad. Third match. Yeah, green can be tricky. They've got reach blockers, and we got a bit of fortunate that our opponent. This is too many cards that we want to be in our deck, or not in our hand. We'll mulligan this. This is a very similar situation. I think we should put this back and get 5. We could do a lot better. Maybe if this is a black source, we can cast Bloodghast, but it'd be still very hard to win a game like this. We'll go to 5. Alright. Narcomoeba. Put these back, leave the Haunted Dead, or do we want to look to cast? We don't want to cast an Narcomoeba. I think Haunted Dead's the best thing to keep around. Maybe not. Oh, maybe it's actually Silvermogul, because we're going down on cards, so we don't have cards to activate this. Okay, yeah, I'm done. We haven't got a way to shuffle our library. In older formats. Gonna play some Timeless Dredge, you can do that. Okay, this is a good draw. Given the state of our hand, I'm gonna actually otherwork, and the fact that they've played this out. Most cards at the graveyard, least mana. Is the principle here. It's not bad. Not bad. We need to hit some enablers. Well, some trigger cards. We know Narcomoeba's on the bottom. Or at least one of them. This is like a classic mistake, really. Because we should have set this up to keep stop. I would try and get into the practice of always doing this. I unfortunately have let the slide down here. But this time we're not going to have the other one against to go with. Alright. Oh, how many did... Yeah. That's a tricky one because you don't want to take mana. We don't want to take the damage off of the lands, right? However, also this is going to be too slow, I think. The plan here is we have Otherworldly Gaze. Okay. That at least guarantees us the trigger on the Prized Amalgams, which gives us like a shout to win. Angels can also be very tough. They're going to gain a lot of life. Their creatures get very big. Game can be hard. Alright. So I'm going to draw here. I'm going to cast the Otherworldly Gaze first. In case we hit Bloodghast or such. He's going to go in the bin. There's no real advantage of running out the Secret Keepers versus Angels. They don't do any blocking, so I'm just going to play this tap. Whoop. Play this tapped. Then that will trigger the Bloodghast, which will then trigger Prized Amalgams. We're kind of, in theory, back out to the race a little, but it's not quite as neat as that. As these are already getting in position. And now we have access to Cocoa mana. We're going to see it. So, we need this to miss if we want a chance. Yeah. That is not what I meant. Yeah. Angels is a bit of a race. Alright. Public service announcement. Set this stop on your upkeep no matter what. I've not played Dredge in a couple of months, I'll be honest. And yeah. This is important. We have lost this game. You know what? We'll cast this Otherworldly Gaze. Yeah. It's a shame you can't like auto set it. But then also like given the state of our hand and the battlefield, it was always best to set this stop. It always is. And we would have been able to get the Narcomeme into graveyard to get the Prized Amalgam back a turn earlier. This creepy chub in the graveyard. We'd be able to bring these Silver Smoke Ghouls back. Okay. We get to a massive battlefield, but we just lose to the Angels flying over the top. We can block with an Narcomeme here, but this game, well, if they play an Angel, this game is over. They're at 21. They haven't got the actual pump here. Okay. We got the second Coco. Yeah. That's the double Mercury. We're going to get clocked for 40. Very slight exaggeration. Alright, okay. Yeah, that one's on me. Alright, two things. Angels is a really tough matchup, but B, I played it horribly. Just remembering all the things for like setting the stops on your upkeep that like don't really matter on paper and like unique to arena are super important for playing Dredge. And yeah. Alright, we only have one enabler here. I'm gonna mulligan this. We only have one enabler here with you also. What are we up against? This is a Yorion. Probably Niv. Go to 5. And we'll keep this. Put these on the bottom. Alright. Which is like, yeah, there are things. There's a few different things like that which are kind of unique to the Dredge deck. Like, just remember them, and they'll serve you well. Okay, well, that's kind of interesting. They've led Stomping Ground Mountain. I kind of initially assumed that this was 5 color limit. It could still be, but obviously these don't make it look like that necessarily. We don't have any Prized Amalgams, so doing this is kind of futile right now. We will hold these Clearwater Pathways. Now we have a Prized Amalgam, but not the mana to bring it back. Unless if he had a go, it'd come back, but here we are. opponent's gonna scoop. I guess they got nothing. And they know we can bring them back next time. Okay, based on conceding, I guess they were playing the 5-color deck, as was suspected, and they just... Stomping Ground Mountain is not necessarily when you want to start the game to be able to interact. And they can see us getting the 2 Prized Amalgams back next turn. We're gonna mulligan this. I wouldn't necessarily say the deck mulligans well, but it mulligans fine. I'll keep this, put Chill. Chill versus Bloodghast. We're not getting close to casting the Bloodghast in this hand. I think we actually bottom the Bloodghast here and keep the Chill. And because we maybe want to put this on black, I'm gonna Ipny Rivulet and Tome Scour ourselves. Yeah. There are a couple of other things, like the upkeep stops. Otherworldly Gaze is so good in this deck. Remembering to set the stops and everything is really important. Just get into the habit of it. More Repsil. I'm a bit rusty right now. And then similar again here, we're going to take the damage effectively. Tome Scour here, because if we hit a Bloodghast, we can bring it back with a Clearwater Pathway. This is a slight exception to the rule, but I want to play a black source, and then this will hopefully go onto the board a little bit. Or it'll eat a removal spell, in which case, there we see the Bloodghast. But now we get Ghoul, and then Ghoul begets Prized Amalgam, and we're off to the races. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, there's a couple of things like that. The other main thing that we forget is that Silvermoint Ghoul only triggers on your end step. So if you have, and we're going to block here, if you have Otherworldly Gaze, you generally want to cast it on your main phase, so that if you hit Creeping Chill and Ghouls and stuff, they come back. Because if you do it on your opponent's turn, the Silvermoint Ghoul doesn't come back. That's the gist of that. And made that sound more complicated than it has to be. We're on 20 here. I'm gonna Tome Scour now, just to see what we've got ahead. Alright, we know we've got a flying blocker for next turn. They can still Monstrous Rage through it, but that at least requires a spell. And on this side, we're putting them down to 2-7, which is a pretty good chance to kill, given we've got some more stuff coming. It's unlikely. I hate to say that it's unlikely we die from 19, because it's not that unlikely. But also they need to respect that we can just kill them on the crackback. They're also they go to 7 here, which means that okay. They're gonna scoop it up. Alright. Alright, that is 4-1 over 5 games. But those last 2 are pretty short, so let's try and get another in here. Was some embarrassing mistakes from me in the middle, I'll be honest. I'll be re-seeing that in my head for a bit, but that's fine. There's a situation where we can cast the Bloodghast off of the 2 lands. This is a little tempting, but the double Silvermoint Ghoul, you have to think that's already a mulligan. Generally, any 2 enabler hand you can kind of keep. So I'm very tempted here. But with 3 kind of, not total bricks, but I think we try and get something better. Which is something I've been trying to do more. This is arguably worse. But I think we keep the double enabler hand at 6. Right. I think I'm doing this. Yeah. Okay. Your opponent's up to. Hate Bears or potentially Angels, but with Lana or else. I'm going to Otherworldly Gaze here, try and fix our draws, and then also, in case they are playing Hate Bears and we get Thaliad, this is a reasonable place to be. I'll keep the Tome Scour and get rid of the rest. Means we can use 2 enablers on our next turn, hopefully. They maybe could think we're on some kind of Oculus deck, perhaps. We'll see. Razor Edge Thicket. Okay, is Angels. So we need to be very fast. Let's do the thing we talked about. So we're going to Tome Scour first, in case we hit Bloodghast. That's not bad in terms of things to bring back. Importantly, the Resplendent Angel by itself doesn't gain life. Doesn't give them a source of life gain. But if they go Bishop of Wings into Yeah, I'll pay. If they go, so that we can get double black here. If they go Bishop of Wings into 2-mana Angel, then it's a little worse. Although, from our side, only one Prized Amalgam. I will set this upkeep stop. Even though we might not, even if we don't use it, it's still worth thinking about. And the other thing with setting stops is that if we set stop at a point on our opponent's turn where they've already passed priority, it will not stop on your upkeep. It'll just go straight through it. So if they have like passed, if you are like setting the stop like while they're passing turn or whatever, like you need to be ahead of the ball. I'm just saying these. So Coco. Right. Resplendent Angel plus Bishop of Wings. If only we could triple what. So here he should Otherworldly Gaze. Okay. These are all things we want in our graveyard. I guess it's the things that like the cards will enter at the same times, the amalgams, use the Alchemy, etc., etc. Draw. I'm putting this on black. So we're on 18. This is 6. We could get bigger. They can't flip. They can't power one of these up. They're 2 mana away. We have an Alchemy, but I think we need to attack with everything. We kind of need to A, keep our life total low, and B, try and win the game. In the other order, though. Okay. Now that the Bishop in play, though, I need you to just miss. Just miss. Just miss. Just miss. Just miss. Well, I say the Angel matchup is bad. We didn't help ourselves last time, but it is really bad. They're on 39 and have a wall of Angels, and we do not. It also just makes them. These are all 4 toughness things. We have lost this match. All right. Go on, one more. 4-2 after the Angels match. What's the worst that can happen? You've been a little unfortunate with draws. I think this is reasonably keepable. We've got 3 enablers. We can't really put it back. We've also, like, the core cards you want not in your opening hand. The most important one is Prized Amalgam. Then after that, it's pretty... But of the cards you have in your opening hand, Creeping Chill's not bad, and Bloodghast isn't the worst either. So we'll keep this. Opponent is on the play. Let's cap 7. Hinterland Harbor. Immediately draw a Right, cool. I'm gonna supply it here, and then we'll Otherworldly Gaze on our upkeep. We want to use this Otherworldly Gaze to like control our next draw step, but we can do that as easily on our upkeep, especially given we've got the second land already. There's a small optimization, and obviously this now attacks for 1. Is nice. Not sure what we're up against there with Hinterland Harbor Go. Oh, Marvel? Maybe, yeah. I guess I can only assume Aetherworks Marvel. All right, let's use the Otherworldly Gaze. These all basically. Oh no, we get to draw 1 of these. We'll draw the Tome Scour. Okay, it changes things slightly. I was going to put this on black so that we have a black source for the Bloodghast, but less worried. And we really want to clock our opponent quickly here. So we just go by the golden rule, which is most cards least mana, and mill ourselves for 5. Okay, we need a land. I'll attack here. Could have maybe done this first, but yeah. They knew what was up. They saw the Prized Amalgams and stuff. Okay, so they are on the 5 energy. So if they have Aether, okay, it's down to 4 up to 6. They can Marvel and activate next turn. Alright, alright. Really wanted to, would have been nice to draw a land. We have Supplier plus Gaze. Another situation we could have used this on upkeep. I am washed. Mr. Dredge. Yeah, we have to play in a way that we can try and dodge. If they go Aetherworks Marvel, either Marvel 2 lands, we kind of need to make sure we've got lands on top. Lands on top are good for us anyway. Let's try and make that happen. Okay, and the Haunted Dad actually helps that. Haunted Dad actually helps us out a ton. If we don't get our lands either mocked. I just have like PTSD from Standard and getting like, oh, here's a Marvel. I'm gonna spin the wheel, either mog your 2 lands away. That is a Genesis ultimatum. Okay. Right. That's an Ugin. Can we beat an Ugin? Depends. Are they just gonna minus it here? They're gonna -1 it. Alright. It's not like impossible, is it? Especially not with this is a kind of interesting one. So we have all of these. They're going to down tick this Ugin again. For 3. And then the hope is that we can like do something where we quote unquote get it with this Haunted Dad. We'd be in a tricky situation though. Losing amalgams is not exactly what we want, but we kind of need to force them to use it. They're also at the point where they can like start hard casting like really big stuff now too. They got to put a bunch of lands into play with the ultimatum as well, which I mean I guess is not as bad as them putting Eldrazi into play, but will enable them to put Eldrazi into play and potentially to get another spin of the wheel here. I love Aethworks Marvel. Oh yeah, oh no, they have an actual swamp as well. Okay, attracts are pretty hard to beat. I'm glad we played another match. This is at least super sweet to see. Yeah, they've got a lot of resources here. They're playing Renegade. It does get you 4 energy, which is like a lot for one creature. But yeah. We see the -3 come down. That does get rid of the amalgams. But okay. The issue really, we can actually play through the Ugin at this point. We just can't play through their Traxxas, which is awkward. Ghoul and Bloodghast to graveyard. We would have had him if it wasn't for the Hardcaster Traxxas. And they're to discard, I think. Yeah, they've got 8 cards. We can put ourselves down. We need to somehow deal with the Ugin, which sounds like giving them 5 life. More than 5 life. I'm gonna take action here. I'm gonna send these at Ugin. We expect the Haunted Dead to be blocked by a Traxxas. They gain 7 life. We just kind of need to deal with that if we have any chance of winning the game. But if they block the Haunted Dead, it goes to graveyard, which means we get to reuse it. If they decide not to block and they just let it die, then A, they don't gain 7, and then we get to do other stuff. Okay, so they block the Haunted Dead. They go here. This shock 40 grave, like thinking I was going to hardcast this Creeping Chill this turn. But yeah. Ugin just goes -3 again, and we're like, oh yeah. And realistically, that's going to happen the rest of the game. So, yeah. We are a little out of this one. The Trax's got vigilance. Yugen's gonna tick up and bolt something. We get to put some stuff on our graveyards without the Horrid Dead. But yeah. We have no way to beat the Atraxa, never mind the Atraxa plus the Yugen. So I would like to see them spin the wheel one more time. But if they won't, then I will concede. Alright, fine. They're taking too long. I'm gonna scoop it up. We'll waste no more of your time. Alright, a little post-match wrap-up. Yeah, we went from a 4-1 to a 4-3. It was sweet to see the Marvel deck. That is super, super sweet. I believe I've not done a build in a while. I had one I was going to do a video with like a few months ago, but I never got around to recording with it. Deck's super, super sweet. But so is Dredge. Performed like pretty well overall. I think this build of the deck is very consistent. Or like this is where I am for like, alright, I think this is good for best of one. And then you can do some slight optimizations and things depending on your personal like preferences. You can play more foundings. You can like this supplier Souls Lost package is like fine. You could play like Tigum Schemings and like the max amount of founding in the third pass. I think that's an alternative way to go. But the main things that we need breaking entering. You see how like good the starts can be if you go like Thought Scour and hit Prized Amalgam and Archimevo or hit Silver Ghoul and Creeping Chill. If you hit 8 cards instead of 5. Breaker entering just like unlocks a whole new element of the deck. Also, notably, with founding the third path, you get to read ahead it to you can use it on the first part to cast the breaking off the first half, but you can also cast the back half of it. And you get to, I'm going to play this on turn 2, mill myself at 8, then mill myself at 4 for free the second turn. Well, I guess on turn 3, and then the fourth turn you get to flash it back. So all of a sudden that's 20 cards. Which is pretty solid. So please, Wizards, can we have breaking and entering on Arena? Aside from that, we're playing best of one. And as I mentioned, like you kind of need to be winning game 1s to have any chance at all, because the sideboard games can be pretty tough. New elements like Into the Flood more being able to answer like normal and permanents is really, really nice. If you're playing green, then like pick your poison to something similar. One other thing, because I generally, when new cards for Dredge come into like Pioneer, I generally start with blue-black. I mean, depending on the card, obviously, if it's blue or black. And then I try and experiment with some other stuff. The ability of Bloodghast to come back for free, and you're not spending mana, with something like Insidious Roots, where the problem with Insidious Roots generally is that it's a 2-mana enchantment you're playing on turn 2, not affecting the board, and you have to start going off and doing things with it turn 3. Having more things, other than like Narcomoeba, to get free triggers on Insidious Roots when you like play your turn 3 land or whatever, really, really important. And so Bloodghast will be very, very good in like a black, green, or Sultai version of the deck as well. Something to keep an eye on, and something I'll definitely be experimenting with and probably recording some videos with in the future. Yeah, there are a bunch of different kind of like tech pieces, the different slots you can mess around with. I quite like Sovereign's Blood, which is like a target player loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, that you can use with Founding of the Third Path. That brings back, it's like another way to bring back Silver Ghoul, but there's also a burn spell you can kind of like flash back from your graveyard with the back half of Founding too. That's kind of a nice one. Playing things like Murderous Cut, or like a couple of Fatal Pushes in the main deck, also pretty reasonable. I mentioned the Temporal Trespass. There are a bunch of different Del spells you could try out, but hey, the Trespass I think is the most powerful one, but is a bit of a meme. Like, if you're doing it, you're probably far ahead, or like, it's winning the game. But there's a bunch of times where that Temporal Trespass will be very awkwardly stuck in your hand or something like that. And as we've seen, there are already like a number of ways to end up with cards like stuck in your hand that you don't want there. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any ideas for the deck, then do let me know in the comments. Really keen to hear some feedback on how you would play it. Yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.